We're going to plant this tree we're going to pretend like this is dirt, and we're going to plant this tree that came out of this container. So first we have to decide how big to dig the hole. The rule is that the hole needs to be 2 to 3 times as wide as the root ball. So the hole is going to need to be almost as big around as this kiddie pool. Then we have to figure out how deep to dig the hole. To do that, I have to take the tree out of the container and dig down, because it had soil up to here when it was in the container. We dig down until we find the bottom of the root flare, which was down here. So we're going to use your shovel handle, put it down like this, put something across it. We want it to come to the bottom of the root flare. So we see that to plant this tree, we only need to dig the hole this deep, which is much more shallow than you would think looking at the tree in this container. The reason we don't want it any deeper than that is this is how the tree breathes. The tree's roots breathe through this root flare. And if we cover that up, it will send shoots up in the air to get air, or it will send girdling roots around the trunk of the tree to try to come up and get oxygen. So once we get the tree in the hole, we can put the handle across the top of the hole, have our tree in there, and make sure that this is at the level that we need it to be. If we dig the hole, if we put this in and find out that it's a little bit too deep, we take the tree out, we put some more dirt in the bottom, but if we leave that dirt loose, once we water the tree will just sink down and be too deep again. So if we dig the hole too deep, what we want to do is build a little platform for the tree to sit on. So we want to put in extra dirt and then tamp it down so that the tree has a base to sit on that will keep it at the right level. Put the tree in the hole, put some dirt around it to steady it, then stand back and make sure that the tree is straight. You can make your adjustments in that little bit of soil before you put the rest of the soil back in. You don't need to amend the soil with anything, just put the soil that was in the hole back in. Once you get the tree back in, you need to mulch. Mulch as wide as you want, because that keeps the lawnmower and the weed eater away, but don't mulch up to the trunk of the tree. Keep the mulch back away from the trunk so that the tree flare is not covered up. That's how you see it mulched right here. 2 to 3 inches and only up to a couple inches from the trunk. So think of it, instead of mulching the tree like a volcano, mulching it like a donut, keeping it back away from the stump, from the trunk. Watering, we talked about watering, 5 gallons. The tree needs to be watered for the first year. So for each inch of diameter of the tree, you water it 5 gallons, plus 5 gallons for the tree. So this 1-inch diameter tree needs 10 gallons of water a week. And if it rains a half an inch, you still need to water the tree 10 gallons per week. Only if it rains more than an inch do you get out of watering the tree that week. It's better to water the tree all at once, 1 time a week, than to spread it out over several days. The water goes here, not out here where it can't reach the roots. It needs to go down here. You don't need to stake a tree unless it's in a windy location or on the side of a bank. The tree does better if it's not staked, but if you would have to stake it, you want to put the stake down out here, not here through root ball. Just a little bit about pruning quickly. This tree has some holes in the side with openings that are going to be a great place for disease and pests, and that's because the tree branches were cut flush with the trunk. The tree has its own mechanism for sealing up holes if you prune it correctly. If you look at a branch of a tree, it has some lines that are going like this at an angle to the trunk. That's called the branch collar. If you cut in, that branch collar holds the hormones that enable the tree to, the bark to come around and close off that hole once this cut is made. If you cut into that branch collar, then the tree's not able to heal over its wound. So you want to cut, if you were cutting a branch, you would undercut it here, overcut it here, take the branch off, and then take your saw and put it at this angle and cut just outside this branch collar so that it can heal that wound up real nice and tight. Training the central leader on a tree. This tree's central leader is going up like this, going right up here. These two little branches are kind of competing to be the central leader, and we want to discourage that. In order to do that, this leader has a bud at the end. So do these other two. So instead of taking them off altogether right now, we would like for them to go ahead and have leaves, because leaves are good for the tree, and this small tree isn't going to have very many leaves the first year. So instead of taking these two competitors off back here, we're going to snip them off at one of the buds up here. And that tells them you can't be the leader, and it stunts their growth so that the leader can continue to grow. Then next year or the year after that, when the tree's more established and has more leaves, you can come back in and you can do a proper pruning cut and cut it back to here so that the leader will continue to grow. It takes a tree a year for every inch of diameter of the trunk to get for its roots to get established. So this 1-inch tree, it's going to take it a year. It's going to spend that first year doing pretty much nothing but getting its roots established. If it was a 2-inch diameter tree, it would take it 2 years to get that root system established before it began to do too much up here at the top. A good time to plant a tree is in the fall. After the leaves are off, it will then go into a dormant season. That's a good time to plant before the ground is frozen. A good time to prune is when the tree goes dormant in the winter, like January, February. Anytime once the tree goes dormant is a good time to prune. And my name is Debbie Wallace. I'm on City Council. I've been studying urban forestry for about 1.5 years now, and I've written a tree ordinance which is going to be introduced in City Council in the month of October, so that we can begin to take responsibility as a city for the trees that are in the tree lawn, the trees between the sidewalk and the street, as well as the cemetery and the park trees. And we're going to, we need to get the dead trees down, we need to get the stumps out, we need to get the hazardous branches out of the trees, and we need to get some new trees started in some appropriate places. So as we're able to raise money, we'll be working on that program.